G'day, and welcome to another edition of Sage of the Dusty Page. Today, we're going to hopefully embark on a series where we explore Dungeon Magazine, or as in its initial naming was Dungeon Adventures for TSR Role-Playing Games. So, Dungeon kicked off way back in 1996 with issue 1, the September-October issue, which is what I have here right in front of me. It ran for quite a while. It was 150 printed copies that flipped between bi-monthly and monthly and digital formats. Had 3 different publishers, or 4 I suppose. TSR from issues 1 to 62, Wizards of the Coast 60 through to 93, Paizo from 94 to 150, and then when it went into the digital format, it went back to Wizards of the Coast from issues 151 to 221. I really like these. I've spent a long time and considerable dollars collecting them. I don't necessarily have all the handouts for them, but I have all the magazines. I really dig the first one. The cover art in it is exceptional. Look at the red dragon there. It's just outstanding. I suppose the idea of these was they were pre-scripted and play tested, and it allowed the Dungeon Master to pick up a magazine and have multiple scenarios there for different levels and for different game types. So you had D&D, AD&D. I think there were some other games tested in them, which we'll probably get to as we find them. I mean, issue number 1 was a bargain price of $3.75 US back in 1996. These now retail for about 450 Australian dollars. There was about 32,000 of them roughly printed. So they're quite a collectible item. So let's have a look. So I suppose the other thing it did, before we get into it, was Dungeon, through its sister magazine, Dragon, encouraged readers to submit scenarios or modules. And, many quite famous people submitted, they became famous, where they submitted modules and then have gone on into the industry, or established careers in Dungeons and Dragons. They've on the various issues, or editions I should say, went on to make YouTube channels, and there were several of those. So the first issue has 64 pages. It has 6 adventures, and let's have a look. So here we go. We've got the big advertising for Lankhmar. Excellent campaign world. You got, again, just the artwork. I think these are Norkas from memory, and you've got a skeleton there. And obviously the cover art is the silver lining, the cloud. Every silver lining has its cloud. As Keith Parkinson shows a portrait of flame from Into the Fire. Keith researched the treasures in flames forward, borrowing from the actual 14th through 18th century treasures in Europe. The enraged flame, of course, is pure Keith. So, it is quite a beautiful piece of art. So, you've got Roger E. Moore was the editor, I think. And then you get all the contributions that people made it possible You get a list of your adventures in each in each magazine, and encourage people to write letters, which they did. So here you go. You get feedback, and back in the day there was no internet, so letters and surveys and things like that were done on paper and submitted to TSR. And this is how we got stuff. This is how we got adventures. We got new monsters. It was all through magazine and catalogues and those sorts of things. So yeah, so the Dark Tower of Cabliar. It's written by Michael Ashton and Lee Sperry. So it's an adventure for 4 to 8 characters, 4th to 7th level. So I won't go right into the detail of every adventure because, people might want to play it. But you get your text boxes to read out if that's how you want to do it or want to paraphrase. You get the synopsis of what the actual party's fighting for the DMs, like the DM's notes. You get cool pictures. And you get your monster stats as you go. You always put the magical items in a slanted text so you could see them. Yeah, and it these, we played many of these back in the day. And there's a pretty cool picture of an ent right there. And again, you get really good detailed maps. And these modules are as good today as they were in 1986. I mean, you can just convert them if you've got the inclination. All you have to do is spend a little bit of time converting the monsters from first edition AD&D to 5e, if that's what you wanted to do. So again, it's a lot crammed in. Like this is now, you're into your 2nd level of dungeon plus a tower. You're fighting quite a myriad of creatures. And you get a 3rd level dungeon, and we're up to 43 locations. The Dark Tower of Cabliar. So there's 45 locations, and you got to concluding the adventure. But this guy looks pretty sinister, and well, he looks like a vampire. So yeah, plenty of undead in that one. Next one is the Assault on Edgestone's Point, and what awaits you on the Lonely Signal Tower. Again, it's like an adventure for 1st to 3rd level for 3 to 5 characters. So you got a starting adventure and a mid-level adventure straight off. It's obviously a quest. There's a missing party involved. A trail between 2 towns. I think this one is the signalling tower has been stopped, and the adventurers have got to go find the missing party and re-establish the communication through the pass. But again, just the artwork, the towers, you can take plenty of inspiration out of these old magazines for your adventures. Again, I just like the artwork. It's not AI generated. It's the real deal. Grakkurt's Lair, and I think these are Norkas. So it's another adventure background. What are we? 1st to 3rd again, 4 to 8 characters, and they're recommending that we should have 1 fighter above 1st level. And it talks about creatures from the Penfolio. Some wilderness encounters. See, I've got a bit of staple rust here. If anybody knows how to fix this or repair this, please let me know. I'm not sure if I just should pull the staples and replace them. But again, your little maps, your secret door diagrams, all your room keys, get into the lower level. Again, another very sinister piece of artwork. Yep. Elven Home. Now this is an adventure for basic D&D. So no different set of rules, more entry level into the game, but I really like playing basic Dungeons and Dragons. I like the simplicity of the game, the fact that you can die easy if you're stupid. So yeah, whoops, it's only a very short adventure, obviously. And then the last adventure is Into the Fire, involves a prince, and you get a, I'll go back, what level is this one for? Okay, so adventure 6 to 10 characters of 6 to 10th level. And it recommends a mixed party. Now to be 6 to 10th in D&D, in this adventure, that's a fair investment of time. So your characters are well developed. You've done a lot of play to get to that level of experience. Yeah, and I really like the landscape drawing here, the geographical map. You've got wilderness encounters. I think we had a TPK on this adventure back in the day. The Lake Haven. And then, yeah, you get the dungeon entrance, or the lair entrance. You get a side profile of the lair. And then you get the lair itself, which is obviously, looks like it's in an old volcano. And it goes through the treasure chamber, which is quite extensive. It's one thing about getting all the treasure, it's another thing getting it out and stopping people from stealing it from you. And it goes on. And there we are, you are fighting Flame, the dragon, and there's obviously a wizard tower in that location as well, which is, I think, partly submerged in the lake. And the last adventure is Guardians of the Tomb, which is, again, fairly low level, 2 to 6 characters for 3rd to 5th level. And a cleric is obviously pretty helpful because it must include some undead. And it starts off, and it's just more a sidetrack adventure, so you fit it in. They introduce a new creature in the magazine, which is, you know, like I said earlier, it's where we got them. And then you get the plug to join the crusade. And, you know, another plug to advertise the Dungeoneer Survival Guide. So, all in all, I really like these. I think they're a really good addition to your collection. Good background. I'm pretty sure that you can find PDFs. But anyway, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.